The omnibus bill's out. Yay, we're going to solve the problems. How do we solve the problems? Who's the bad guy? Well, let me give you a little hint about this. Let's read the first couple sentences. Governor Kathy Hochul today announced an agreement with the legislature on the prison reform omnibus bill that would enact a series of 10 transformational changes within state prisons and local jails. The bill will improve the safety and security of all incarcerated individuals and employees. Who got top billing? I'm just saying, like this is the small stuff. You got the state's got two kids. One of them is a murderer and a rapist, and the other one is working really hard in life and trying to get by. And they put the murderer and the rapist up here. They get top billing. Um, like that's the first paragraph on the governor.newyork.gov. Governor signs landmark legislation to improve safety. Like that's the first thing. That's their bam. And we could go over in depth all this. There's the 10 transformational, but most of it is more of the same. More cameras, more, they got uh, more up top people, more money, more top heavy to watch all the bad officers. Just reporting the information. Listen, I'm okay with uh, with accountability. I'm good with that. Wouldn't have changed my career in the least. However, when you put this out and it's all accountability on the out, so basically the only fix you have is accountability on officers. They are doing nothing to change the culture. They are doing nothing to get the trust. So when I went to school, I got a 4-year degree in business management. It was going to be my passion. It really was. Because I worked for an international corporation a couple times that had big money and all the elite personnel, all the elite personnel departments, they did things like engagement. They realized that when you engage your employees, like umpteen times more productive. Engagement is one of the most important things they have at these big corporations to keep people feel like they're part of the group. And engagement is non-existent in docs. They don't even care. They don't care in the least. They're blaming their workers. Someday I should do one on what's his name, Edward Deming. Google Edward Deming, EdwardDeming. Edward Deming basically said the systems were the problem 90% of the time, not the people. And I don't know the exact quote, but basically he said most of the time the system is the problem. He's the one that went into Japan after World War II and made them a leader of in commercial, like the motorcycles. He's the reason why the motorcycles back in the day were like, oh yeah, get a jet bike. They freaking never break down. But yeah, this is off the charts. It's just more anti-officer. All the blame is on the officers. Their own people hate everybody above the officers. Once you get outside the jail, is after the officers publicly. It's not going to change. Guys are still leaving. I know guys with 20 years that are planning their outs right now. Um, they can see the writing on the wall. And the real question is why? Why are they doing this? Even Canny, Cany. Shit, what does Canny stand for? Um, Canny, Correctional Association of New York, right? Provides independent oversight of prisons to promote transparency. So I'm looking at Canny, and Canny doesn't talk at all about uh, drug overdoses. That's odd. Like, so one inmate in 2024 was beaten. Okay, so I want to be careful here. I do not want to um, take away from the importance of Brooks and the Nontwi. Um, I don't want to belittle it, but but I want you to look at the numbers. One inmate in 2024, allegedly, as far as I know, there's no other ones. All right, died of officers, and one is one too many. It should never happen. But in 2024, we had 7 overdoses, 8 suicides, 48 unknown deaths. Hmm. Let's dig back a little bit further. And for the record, my information for 2024 comes all out the December fact sheet because they switched in 2023. They had a mortality report at the end of the year where it showed everything. I think if I go back, I can get the true numbers. Maybe January 1st, 2025, but I haven't done that yet, and I have to get to bed soon. So January 24th, it's not even a full year, but let's look at these numbers and see what Halt's done. This is my opinion. I'm borderline idiot, but In 2022, March, halt started. And in 2022, there was 113 total deaths in the prison system. The overdoses were 12, suicides 18, one unknown death, and 475 Narcans. First of all, why no one's talking about how 475 times all the prisons stopped and they saved a life? All right, we won't mention that. 2023 comes along. This is still in the mortality rate, 107 deaths, 8 overdoses, 19 unknown. Wait, we went from 1 unknown to 19 unknown. We went from 12 overdoses to 8 overdoses. And Narcan use went from 475 to 717. That's what, 40%, Megger? So we have 40% more guys who are going unresponsive and getting Narcan, but actually 4 less overdoses and 18 more unknowns. Okay, that's odd. So now we move into 2024. Total deaths 127, 7 overdose. We have 1 less overdose. That's good, right? We're having less overdoses in prison. 48 unknown. Well, that's odd. The Narcan numbers that I have are from the December 1st fact sheet, which was 714, which means that's only 11 months out of the year. So there's probably a few more. So let's say Narcan stayed the same, but it shouldn't. Narcan should have gone up. Narcan goes up, still over 700 Narcans. Overdoses go down, unknown more than doubles unknown deaths. All right. Now, this whole time, officers are screaming, the drugs are coming in. The drugs are here. We got to get the drugs out. They don't listen to them because they have no respect for officers. And this canny and the government, this omnibus bill, not one single thing about overdoses and Narcans in prison. I can't even find, I don't even know who to get the amount of sick calls because I know emergency sick calls is shot through the roof now. You think there's a lot of Narcans? That's like 1 in every 10 emergency sick calls where somebody comes down for being high at 3 o'clock in the morning or during the lunch run, they just falling out. It's a running joke in prison. None of these people, and like I said, I don't want to take away from the how terrible it was that we lost a life at the hands of officers, but if you're looking for numbers and you're looking to save lives, you might want to look into overdoses and why we have 1948 and 52 unknown in the last 3 years. Unknown deaths, unknown. I think they're overdoses, judging by the amount of Narcans that are coming out, but none of that. Not Canny, not the commissioner, not the governor, not the omnibus. Nobody even mentions that. Not the frickin' news, the legacy news media, the journalists. Nah, nothing, nothing. So yeah, your omnibus, anti-officer, and again, I'm for accountability. I really am, but I don't like having a camera up my butt when I'm pooping at work. It's just me. Um, the cameras are not only in the places where every crack so you can see every inmate. Okay, they're also where I poop. They're also where I sit with my guys because they follow me around. And when it's just me and 5 officers and a shack in the yard, now there's 5 cameras in there. Every single thing and that's just terrible. And you know what they could have put in there? They could have put in if there's no I think believe the police have it. What's it called? It's some kind of protection that police have where if not involved with an incident, they can't use it against you on camera. So if I'm saying stupid shit on camera, and I would never do this, but if like I'm like, oh, that chick's hot, blah blah blah, and I want to blah blah blah, that's not on. Or if I'm mad at an inmate and I'm talking shit about him because I'm angry, nothing happens with that inmate. You can't use that against me. Um, yeah, I guarantee I've talked shit about inmates. Facts. But I know that's got conversations about my ex-wife and conversations about my kids that it's just me and an officer in a place where there's no inmates. So you're overstepping, you're putting undue pressure, and so now not only do I don't feel like it. I know you're watching me 24/7 at work all day every minute. I also know you want to hang me and you blame all this on me. So that's your omnibus. That's your New York State omnibus, and I know I'm gonna dig into the raw data. I'm gonna try, and it's gonna be a lot of work, and I'm really lazy. We'll see, but I want to find out what the actual numbers are. The numbers that I quoted you are from Doc's reports. So in 2023, the mortality reports, you can look them up. Just look NYS DOCCS mortality reports 2023. They quit making them in 2024. In 2024, I believe they started doing the docs fact sheet. So, and it has some of the information, but not the same. And I got the Narcan off like a Narcan off a UI, um, the 2024 UI. So at the end of the year, they compile all the UIs. And I think we have the raw data on the 2025s because I'm dying to see what the Narcan numbers are. I mean, you had a whole month with prison lockdown, so they're probably going to be lower. I really want to get the medical emergencies. I know they're through the roof, and the ambulance trips. Why don't we know with the ambulance trips and how much more that costs the state? Um, because that's not an officer thing. And why aren't you reporting that? Like there's more deaths from overdoses, but you're not mandatory reporting medical emergencies. You're not mandatory, and you have the information. You're not putting out a fact sheet on overdoses and Narcans. Where's that on the fact sheet? It's not on Candy's fact sheet. Not their monthly, not any of the Halt Bill stuff. So everything they put out is to fit the narrative that officers suck. And nobody's fighting for it. Me, I'm fighting for us. I got 5,000 followers. I get 5,000 views. This video, if I'm lucky, will get 5,000 views. You know, Channel 3 isn't fighting for you. They're fighting for the rapists and the murderers. Channel 6, Channel 9, they're not fighting for you. The journalisms aren't journalisming. Some random dude that got fired and he's pissed off. And, well, he wants his job back, but this this doesn't help. Ugh. So there we are. That's it. I'm going to dig more through that information, but I wanted to get something out on the omnibus. It's just awful. More anti-officer, and you guys are voting for him. You guys are keeping him in. Anti-officer is anti-voter. The average voter isn't a murderer, rapist, and doesn't have a family that's in there for murdering and rapists. The average voter just run around, and they will pick them over you. They're going to start letting them out. I think they're doing it on purpose. I think they want privatization. I know they want. I know that Canny, all the inmates, they want no max incarceration, which mass incarceration, which I'm for. I totally agree with where you're coming from, but you got to have a process. You just can't let everybody out. But if you make the system bad enough, then you'll be like, wow, look, this is inhumane to keep them in prison because we've destroyed prison. So now you have to let them out. And it's all because officers are bad. It's gross. It's gross. Honestly, as much as I want my job back, I don't want my job back. It's funny because I was talking to a dude who was confused and thought that I was good. And he was like, I heard you're coming back. And for a second, I'm like, yes. And then all of a sudden, I got this anxiety. I'm like, oh my God, I know what's going on in there. I don't want to go back in. The officers are miserable. Dudes with 20 years are quitting. I don't even know half the guys there. And you got National Guard running around sleeping on camera. I'm sorry. I heard that's actually better. For a while in the beginning, National Guard was sleeping on camera because they didn't have to answer to the corrections. But I guess that's fixed now, so I shouldn't have said that. But I don't know. We'll see. All right, that's it for now. Christmas is coming. If I don't make another one tomorrow because it is Christmas Eve, I want to just say Merry Christmas, everybody. Um, I'll probably do a special Merry Christmas one because you know what? A lot of guys have really, a lot of people, men, women, have really come out and stopped me and talked to me and said thank you. And you all mean something to me. You all kept me going and keep me in this. I'd have jumped out of this a dozen times. So thank you, everybody. Have a Merry Christmas and God bless you. And stop the recording.